Let me tell you something. In life, nobody cares about what you say you're going to do. Talk is cheap. Words don't build your future. Actions do. Effort does. Sweat does. Discipline does. The world doesn't reward people for promises. It rewards people for results. When you're starting out, don't expect applause. Don't expect support. Don't expect people to believe in you. Most of the time they won't. They'll laugh. They'll doubt you. They'll tell you that you're wasting your time. And that's fine. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Your job is not to convince them with your mouth. Your job is to convince them with your life. Work when nobody is watching. Push yourself when there's no spotlight, no audience, no recognition. Because the silence is where champions are built. The silence is where discipline is forged. The silence is where success is born. You have to love the grind. You have to fall in love with the early mornings, the late nights, the repetition, the pain, the sacrifices. Because that's what separates you from everyone else. Everybody wants the glory, everybody wants the reward, but not everybody wants to bleed for it. You must. And here's the truth. If you work long enough, hard enough, and consistent enough, eventually the results will speak so loudly that no one will be able to ignore you. That's the shock. That's the revenge. That's the sweet silence exploding into success. So remember this. Don't waste energy trying to prove yourself to the doubters. Don't waste time trying to explain yourself to the critics. Keep your head down. Keep moving forward. Stay relentless. Work hard in silence. And then one day, when they least expect it, your success will hit them like a thunderclap. And all those people who doubted you will have nothing left to say. Silence is the training ground where true success is built, because it is in those unseen moments, when no one is clapping, when no one is paying attention, that the real foundation of greatness is laid. People often chase the spotlight. They want recognition before they've put in the real work. They want to be celebrated before they've earned it, but that's not how champions are made. The truth is that success does not come from noise. It comes from discipline. It comes from the hours you put in when the room is empty, when there's no encouragement, no cheerleaders, no cameras. In silence, there is no distraction. There is no validation. There is only you against yourself. That is the purest form of battle, and that is where you forge strength. Think about how most people operate. They want to show their progress before they've achieved anything. They want to post about their grind, talk about how hard they're working, brag about how close they are to their goals. But if you're truly serious about success, you don't need to talk about it. You just need to live it. Every rep in the gym, every page you write, every hour of study, every step forward in your craft. It's not about the world knowing. It's about you knowing that you gave everything. That's why silence is so powerful, because it strips away the ego. When you work in silence, you are not trying to impress anyone. You are not working for likes or applause. You are working for the only thing that matters, results. In silence, you face your doubts, you face your weaknesses, you discover the places where you are soft, where you are lazy, where you lack focus, and the only way to fix those weaknesses is to confront them when no one else is there to cover for you. If you slack off in front of a crowd, people might cheer you on anyway. They might give you the illusion of progress, but when you're alone, there's no one to save you. If you cut corners, you know it. If you don't give full effort, you know it. That's why silence is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It never lies to you. It shows you exactly who you are, and it demands that you either rise or quit. Silence also teaches patience. Success is not instant. The world has been trained to believe in shortcuts, to look for the quick fix, the easy money, the fast track. But when you are working in silence, you understand that greatness is a slow burn. It doesn't explode overnight. It builds brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. And when you embrace the silence, you stop obsessing over how fast the results come, and you start focusing on how consistent you can be. You start trusting the process instead of begging for the outcome. That shift is what separates those who make it from those who quit halfway. It's in the silence that you learn to rely on discipline instead of motivation. Motivation is temporary. Some days you feel it, some days you don't. If you only work when you're motivated, you'll never get anywhere. But in silence, You teach yourself to show up regardless of how you feel. You work when you're tired, when you're bored, when you'd rather be doing anything else. And that is where real transformation happens. Because discipline, not motivation, is the true engine of success. Another power of silence is that it creates surprise. When you don't talk about what you're doing, when you don't broadcast your moves, no one sees you coming. While others are busy showing off, you are building. While they are talking, you're training. While they're trying to impress the world, you're preparing to shock it. And the shock only works because you were silent first. If you announce everything you're working on, you create expectations, and expectations kill impact. But if you keep it quiet, then one day you step out, and the world sees the results they never imagined. That is the moment silence pays off, when all the unseen hours suddenly become undeniable. Silence is also where respect is born. People might not notice your grind in the beginning. They might even doubt you. But once your success speaks for itself, their opinions change. They no longer question, because results cannot be argued with. And those results are born in the quiet places where no one is clapping, no one is watching, and you are still pushing. That's where you build the kind of success that demands respect without you ever needing to ask for it. Don't argue with doubters. Prove them wrong through results, because words will never carry the same weight as proof carved out of sweat, discipline, and persistence. When people doubt you, their voices are often louder than your own belief. They tell you that you are not good enough, that you are not talented enough, that you are chasing something impossible. If you waste your energy fighting them with arguments, you lose the power you need to build. Every second you spend defending yourself is a second taken away from the grind. The greatest answer is not found in debate. It is found in undeniable success. The world doesn't care about excuses, and it doesn't care about explanations. It only respects outcomes. When people tell you that you can't, they are projecting their own limits onto you. They are speaking from fear, not from knowledge. Many times, doubters have never tried what you are attempting. They have never pushed themselves to the edge. They have never felt the pain of real effort. Yet they feel entitled to tell you where your ceiling is. That's why arguing with them is useless. You cannot convince a closed mind with words. But you can show them the power of persistence by breaking through the barriers they swore were impossible. Results silence every critic, because results are undeniable. It is important to understand that doubters will always exist. No matter what you do, no matter how far you go, someone will always think it's not enough. Someone will always try to bring you back down. If you seek their approval, you will never move forward. If you let their voices live rent free in your head, you will never find your own. That's why you must train yourself to stay focused on the grind, on the process, on the work that actually builds your future. Let the doubters talk while you keep climbing. One day, the view from the top will make their words meaningless. There is a certain beauty in being underestimated. When people don't expect you to win, you are free to work in peace. You are free to prepare without distraction. You are free to sharpen yourself quietly, knowing that one day, when you reveal the results, the shock will be greater than anything you could have explained. Being doubted is fuel. It gives you something to push against. It gives you a reason to prove not just to them, but to yourself, that you are stronger than they ever imagined. Arguing creates noise, and noise is the enemy of progress. The more time you spend trying to shout back at doubters, the more you lose your focus. Energy is limited, and if you waste it proving yourself with words, you will have nothing left to prove yourself with actions. Imagine pouring all that energy into your work instead. Every insult becoming fuel, every doubt becoming weight added to your barbell, every sneer becoming another mile you run, another page you write, another skill you master. That is how you turn doubt into dominance. The world does not remember those who argued, it remembers those who delivered. The stage of history is filled with people who were told they couldn't, and yet they did. Their names are remembered not because they shouted the loudest at their critics, but because their accomplishments became too large to ignore. That is the path you must choose. Not to get caught in the fight of words, but to dedicate yourself to the grind so fully that eventually your results become your voice. Results are permanent, while arguments fade. You might win a debate, but it changes nothing. People will still doubt, still criticize, still talk. But when you build results, when you achieve the impossible, when you accomplish what they said you never could, there is no room left for their opinion. They are forced to face the reality that you did what they couldn't, and in that moment you never had to say a single word. Fall in love with the grind, not the glory, because the grind is where everything is earned, where the roots of success dig deep into the soil of discipline and persistence. Glory is fleeting, it shines for a moment, and then it fades away, but the grind is constant. It is the daily battle, the uncelebrated hours, the repetitive routines that no one talks about. Everyone wants the reward, everyone wants the recognition, but few are willing to embrace the long, lonely road of sacrifice that leads to it. If you only chase the glory, you will quit when the applause isn't there. If you fall in love with the grind, you will keep going even when nobody notices, because the work itself becomes your fuel. The grind is not glamorous. It is waking up when you are tired. It is showing up when you don't feel like it. It is putting in effort when no one is watching. It is failure, repetition, frustration, and yet it is also the place where strength is born. The grind is the great equalizer. Talent without grind fades. Luck without grind disappears. But grind without talent still wins, because relentless effort can outlast almost anything. Falling in love with it means you no longer need constant motivation or outside validation. You do it because you understand that the process itself is shaping you into something stronger, sharper, and unbreakable. The glory is dangerous because it can distract you. When people start clapping, when recognition comes, when you get a taste of success, it is easy to slow down, to relax, to believe you have arrived. But the grind demands humility. The grind does not care about what you achieved yesterday. It only asks what you are willing to do today. Falling in love with the grind keeps you hungry, keeps you focused, keeps you grounded. It stops you from being blinded by glory, because you know glory is just a shadow of the effort behind it. Most people look for shortcuts because they love the idea of glory, but hate the reality of grind. They want results without sacrifice. They want achievements without discipline. They want progress without pain. But the grind has no shortcuts. Every rep must be earned. Every skill must be built. Every ounce of progress must be fought for. Falling in love with it means you accept the pain, you embrace the repetition, you welcome the obstacles. You no longer see them as setbacks. You see them as part of the process that is carving you into the person who deserves the reward. When you fall in love with the grind, failure no longer breaks you. Most people quit because failure hurts their pride. It makes them feel exposed. It makes them feel weak. But those who love the grind see failure differently. They see it as information, as feedback, as an opportunity to adjust and come back stronger. The grind is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. Every setback is another step forward in disguise. And when you love the grind, you don't fear falling because you know every fall teaches you how to rise. Glory makes people arrogant. Grind makes people disciplined. Glory makes people comfortable. Grind makes people relentless. Glory is the surface. Grind is the foundation. Without the grind, any glory you achieve will crumble quickly. But if you build on the grind, your success will stand strong because it was forged through unshakable effort. That's why the most powerful thing you can do is shift your focus away from the temporary shine of recognition and direct it toward the permanent growth of consistent effort. The grind is where you meet yourself. It is where you discover your limits, where you find out what you are made of, where you push beyond what you thought was possible. Glory will never teach you that. Glory is a spotlight from the outside. Grind is a fire from the inside. When you fall in love with it, you stop working for applause and start working for progress. You stop caring about who is watching and start caring about how far you can go. And in that transformation, you become unstoppable. Consistency and discipline speak louder than promises because anyone can say they will achieve something, but very few have the strength to show up day after day, even when it is hard, even when it is boring, even when the world gives them every excuse to quit. Promises are easy to make, they cost nothing, but consistency costs time, energy, sacrifice, and patience. Discipline is the bridge between what you say you want and what you actually achieve, and without it, words are empty. People may listen to promises for a moment, but they will believe in results that come from repeated, relentless effort. Consistency is not about doing something once or twice with intensity. It is about doing it over and over with commitment. It is about building habits so strong that they carry you even on the days when you don't feel motivated. Anyone can be motivated for a short burst, but consistency demands that you keep showing up after the excitement fades, after the novelty is gone, when the grind feels heavy and progress feels invisible. It is in those moments that discipline keeps you moving, because discipline does not care about feelings, it only cares about action. Discipline is a choice made repeatedly. It is the decision to wake up early when the bed feels warm, to train when your body aches, to study when your mind wants distraction, to practice when your friends are relaxing. Discipline is not glamorous, it is not exciting, but it is powerful because over time, those small acts compound into extraordinary results. A single workout means nothing, a single study session means little, but 10 years of consistent effort creates mastery. Promises cannot do that. Only discipline and consistency can. Most people fail not because they lack dreams, but because they lack consistency. They start with energy, they start with passion, but as soon as the road gets hard, they fall away. They keep making new promises, setting new goals, talking about change, but their actions never last long enough to create real transformation. Consistency is the difference between temporary effort and lasting success. Without it, all you have is intention. With it, you have proof. Discipline also teaches respect for the process. In a world that craves instant results, discipline reminds you that true progress is slow and steady. You do not master a skill in a week. You do not build a body in a month. You do not create greatness overnight. Discipline is the force that allows you to stay patient, to keep laying brick after brick, even when the wall does not seem to rise fast enough. It keeps you from quitting in the gap between effort and reward, a gap that destroys so many dreams. Consistency also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you show up and do what you said you would do, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes momentum. On the other hand, when you break your own promises, you weaken yourself. You teach yourself that your word means nothing. That is why promises alone are dangerous. They create an illusion of progress without the reality of it. Discipline and consistency give weight to your words by turning them into action. There is also a quiet power in being consistent, because while others are distracted chasing new trends, new shortcuts, or new opportunities, you are steadily improving. You may not look impressive in the beginning, but over time, your progress compounds while theirs collapses. This is why consistency always wins. It may not give you fast results, but it gives you lasting ones. Discipline makes sure you never stop building, and consistency makes sure what you build becomes unshakable. The world is full of promises that were never kept, dreams that were never followed through, goals that were abandoned halfway. But when you live with consistency and discipline, you separate yourself from the crowd. You no longer need to talk about what you are going to do, because your actions already say it for you. People may doubt words, but they cannot doubt results, and results are born from the quiet, unrelenting force of showing up again and again, no matter what. Shock the world with success that cannot be ignored, because the ultimate response to doubt, criticism, and underestimation is to achieve at a level so high that no one can deny it. People may question your abilities, they may laugh at your dreams, they may dismiss your efforts, but when you produce undeniable results, all those voices go silent. Success has a way of speaking louder than any defense you could ever give. It is not about shouting louder than the critics. It is about rising so high that their voices can no longer reach you. The element of shock comes from patience and silence. When you keep your head down and focus on the work instead of the noise, no one sees what you are building. They think you are stuck, they think you are failing, they think you are ordinary. But behind the scenes, every day you are stacking effort, every day you are pushing forward, every day you are preparing for a breakthrough, and then one day, without warning, the results appear. The world is forced to notice because the success is so clear, so visible, so overwhelming that it cannot be ignored. Success is not about proving a point with words, it is about proving a point with reality. Words can be argued, dismissed, doubted, but results are final. They are solid evidence that you did what others said could not be done. When you reach a level where your work speaks for itself, people have no choice but to recognize it. The same voices that once laughed may now fall silent, or even turn into applause, but by then, you no longer need their approval. The success is already yours. Shocking the world with success requires more than talent. It requires persistence, consistency, and the refusal to quit when things get hard. Everyone loves the idea of overnight success, but true breakthroughs are never sudden. They are the result of years of effort that the world did not see. The shock comes not because you achieved quickly, but because no one was paying attention to the sacrifices and struggles you endured along the way. You were invisible while you built, and then suddenly you became undeniable. This kind of success also requires resilience. Along the way, you will face setbacks, failures, and obstacles that will tempt you to give up. The critics will point to those failures as proof that they were right about you. But if you persist, if you keep going despite the setbacks, those same failures become part of the story that makes your success even more powerful. The shock is not only that you succeeded, but that you endured so much along the way and still rose to the top. When you shock the world with success, you inspire others as well. People who once doubted you may never admit it, but others who watched your journey will see what is possible. They will realize that silence, discipline, and persistence can create results that change everything. Your success becomes proof for them, a reminder that they too can rise above the opinions of others if they are willing to work for it. The impact extends beyond you because undeniable success has the power to shift the mindset of everyone who witnesses it. There is also a certain power in not announcing your goals too loudly. When you keep your vision to yourself, you remove the pressure of expectations and avoid the distraction of outside opinions. You are free to focus entirely on the work, without worrying about impressing anyone along the way. And when the results come, the shock is greater because no one saw it coming. The sudden rise creates impact, and the world is left wondering how you did it. That mystery adds weight to your achievement because it was earned in silence. To shock the world, you must be willing to be underestimated for a long time. You must accept being overlooked, doubted, and ignored. That period of invisibility is necessary because it allows you to build without interference. When people think you cannot succeed, they stop paying attention, and that gives you the perfect opportunity to work without distraction. Then, when your success finally emerges, the effect is multiplied, because the gap between their expectations and your reality is massive. That gap is what creates shock.